So I've been noticing lately on my X feed in the For You tab, it's filled with Democrat posts, which is ironic because I'm about as far from a Democrat as you can get these days, which is kind of unfortunate because if Democrats maintained any sanity and any common sense, we'd be a much better country today. But anyway, the For You tab for me, it's just filled with Democrat nonsense, and I'd figure I'd go through some of it and see what Democrats are talking about lately. So if you enjoyed the video, please give the video a quick like if you got a second, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. And I do the Swamp Monday through Friday, where I cover everything going on in the federal machine, and the videos post at 11 p.m. Eastern at the latest. And if you drop a comment in the video, I might just read it on the next episode. And if there's any articles that I come across in this video, they'll all be linked in the description below. So let's start with, looks like Hakeem Jeffries from November 22nd. At this post, it's currently 8 o'clock p.m. exactly on the 23rd. So this was posted yesterday at 4:03 p.m. So maybe a day old, maybe 2 days old. I mean, the For You tab, it's not within the last 24 hours like my Swamp videos are, but whatever, that's fine. So Hakeem Jeffries, he says House Republicans are in free fall. The American people are done with these extremists, which is pretty ironic coming from one of the quote-unquote leaders of the Democrat Party. And this is from Congresswoman Sarah McBride. What an absolute honor to share an evening with President Barack Obama alongside my fellow freshman House Democrats and our Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, whatever the hell Emerita means. My first ever note was for Barack Obama in the Delaware Democratic primary in February of '08, because Delaware law allows those who will be 18 by the general election to vote in the primaries leading up to it. I was able at 17 years old to cast my ballot for a hero of mine. Okay. As I shared with him, I will forever have a reservoir of hope because I came of age during his campaign and his presidency. As a freshman in college, I sat in the Senate gallery to watch the vote on the Affordable Care Act. And this past week, as a freshman in the House, we discussed his lessons learned from passing the single largest expansion of healthcare since the creation of Medicare and Medicaid in the 60s. Yeah, and how's Obamacare going for you all these days? I think that's just about, aside from the Epstein scandal, that's all Democrats are talking about these days is, Affordable Care Act this, Affordable Care Act that. And healthcare is absolutely insane. Everybody's premiums are going up, according to Chuck Schumer, up to $20,000 a year for some people. So you get some Democrats who are championing Obamacare, and then you got other people who are denouncing it, who are also in the Democrat Party. It's like, pick a side. All right, anyway, he shared his advice for this moment, discussed the need to meet people where they are, to defend our values without defending the status quo, and why, despite our politics today, we can't give up hope. Hope and change we can believe in. Remember all that back from the 2008 era? Fortunately for me, that reservoir still has a lot of hope left, and I'm not going to let anyone take it from me. Well, of course, Democrat Party filled with hopes, full of feelings and even more feelings, whereas the Republican side these days, lots of common sense, lots of logic, lots of straightforward thinking, a lot of just rigid black and white. All right, so Senator Aliska Slotkin, the president is using fear as a weapon, using fear to silence anyone who disagrees with him. It should be condemned by Democrats, Republicans, and independents. I won't back down, and I won't let the president put words in my mouth. Okay, well, I'm joined now in studio by Senator Aliska Slotkin. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
As Rachel pointed out, I know you've received death threats, bomb threats. I just want to read again what the president
these days, who isn't?
Putting on his social media. He is not backing off overnight, calling you again traitor, sedition at the highest level, a major crime. This all started on Thursday. Donald Trump saying it's called seditious behavior at the highest level. Each one of these traitors to our country should be arrested and put on trial. Continuing, this is really bad and dangerous to our country. Seditious behavior from traitors, lock them up. Seditious behavior punishable by death.
Are they going to give us any context?
Hang them, George Washington would.
No, they're not going to. That's the answer.
Tell me what's happened since this.
Well, I think almost immediately, the security situation changed for all of us. Leadership climate is set at the top. So if the president's saying things like that, you can imagine people on the ground, what they're doing, the calls into our office, et cetera, into our
because conservatives
teams,
are so
the
extreme.
calling of police. I think I've been through dangerous situations before, so it doesn't change, my feeling about speaking my mind. But obviously, the president took issue with one sentence in a video and was calling for our death. I think that's inappropriate, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or an independent.
Oh, it's so seditious.
Look, a lot of conservatives are saying this is just distractions from the Epstein scandal because Democrats are all wrapped up in Epstein. I still have yet to find any Republicans that are connected with Epstein that have come out within the last, really over the last year, with the documents dump earlier this year where they released something like 50,000 documents related to Epstein. And I guess they're still mulling through it and digging stuff out. And yeah, so I don't know if maybe that's what they're distracting from. But actually, you know what? That would probably be a good time for me to jump over to my bookmarks. I grabbed a few bookmarks with regard to what Trump posted over the weekend. And I just wish he would have let this go. This is just, it's so unnecessary what's going on with this whole stupid scandal. So these, in case you don't know, there were 6 Democrats. They were former service members. I think maybe 1 or 2 are still technically in the service. I don't know if they're in reserves or whatever, but I believe they're all House members except one senator, which was a Slotkin, right? I believe she was the only one who's a senator. And they posted this video saying that if you're enlisted in the military currently, and if you receive an unlawful order from the president, you have a duty under law to not obey it if you receive an unlawful order from the president. And they kept it that vague. They didn't give any examples as to what unlawful orders. They didn't say disobey Trump's unlawful orders. They just said just disobey lawful or unlawful orders. Unlawful orders, to disobey them. So Trump is coming out saying that they're seditious, that you know, back in the day during the days of George Washington, they would have been hanged for saying stuff like that. So I'm pushing back against Trump on this. Like, we all know what they were getting at. We all know they were basically saying that if you're in the military and if Trump gives you an order, disobey it. But they didn't literally say that. And that, I think, is kind of problematic with Trump because he just keeps posting about this. He should have let it go. He should have just left it alone because these videos were not getting any attention until Trump started talking about it. Now it's what everybody's talking about. So Trump posted this over the weekend. I believe this was from yesterday. The traitors that told the military to disobey my orders should be in jail right now, not roaming the fake news networks trying to explain that what they said was okay. It wasn't and never will be. It was sedition at the highest level, and sedition is a major crime. There could be no other interpretation of what they said. And I've played this video at least twice last week on my show, The Swamp. I'm sure it's still quite easy to find. It's all over social media. But anyway, so he followed that up with another one. Many great legal scholars agree that the Democrat traitors that told the military to disobey my orders as president have committed a crime of serious proportion. Yes, that is true if these 6 Democrats said disobey Trump's orders. They didn't say that, though. They said if you receive an unlawful order, disobey it. So Byron Donalds, he's from the Naples, Florida area, represents Naples, Florida. He goes nuclear on the fake news after Democrats called for sedition against President Trump. And he gives a quote, so I'll just play out the video because he's going to quote it anyway.
So now they're going to feign outrage because Donald Trump responded to their words that...
Well, of course they will, dude. They're Democrats.
Please.
Remember, they're overly emotional.
Stop. No. And this is where I'm going to push back. Because what they are doing is trying to throw literally a grenade into the room. It goes off. And
well, of course they are.
Claim outrage. They have
They're Democrats.
The moral standing to claim outrage because they decided that they were going to be cute and put out a TikTok video trying to get likes, trying to demonstrate that they're tough enough to stand up to President Trump when Donald Trump is the commander-in-chief, not Mr. Crow, not Senator Slotkin. They are not the commander-in-chief. And like I said before,
and the video got so little attention until Republicans started putting it on blast. Should have just left it alone.
I know it's true. Everybody knows it's true. But now they want to feign outrage and have everybody come and ask them how they feel. Man, stop. We're tired of the games and the charade. The American people are looking for real answers on energy, on immigration, on affordability, but they want to be cute.
No doubt about that.
Yeah, I'm not going to give them any standing about, well, how do they feel? That's BS. They knew what they were doing. They created a political stunt to get a response. And they didn't like the response.
In terms of what the president said, are you comfortable?
Yeah. Look, I think when it comes to Florida, we've been clear in our state. We do not want drilling off of our coastline. And so we're going to work with the administration to still protect Florida's coastline.
So, yeah, they're going to say, well, that's awfully convenient that you want to drill, baby, drill. But, oh, no, we don't want to drill in our state, though. But, like, you should totally drill everywhere else in the country. But no, leave Florida alone. Like, and I get it. I mean, we have a massive tourist sector in our state of Florida, and it's the main reason why we have a surplus in our government's budget on an annual basis. People from all over the world. And I think the state of Florida, when you include the entire state, it gets more tourism than any other single place on the planet. So I get why they don't want to do any drilling off the coast, because it's high risk. If something were to happen, it would absolutely decimate the tourism industry on at least on one half of the coastline of the state. So
are you comfortable with what the president said, suggesting that members of Congress should be put to death?
No, but the president...
That's a loaded question, dude. Are you okay when the president said that members of Congress should be put to death? Are you going to, finish up that statement with the whole defying lawful orders? Except they didn't say that. They said defying unlawful orders. But it's just another slippery thing. Like they're trying to get him in another gotcha, as they always do.
You have to actually stand by. You have to investigate those words. What they're calling for is sedition. Sedition.
Mainstream media, they protect Democrats and they try to damn Republicans. Everything that journalism should not be doing these days. You're holding both sides accountable.
This is a foolish political stunt created by people who are trying to get their name ID up, who are trying to demonstrate that somehow they're
and it worked, dude. And now you're talking about it. Should have left it alone.
Words are in violation of our constitutional republic. You cannot have elected members. I don't care about your politics. This is not even a political deal anymore. You cannot have elected members tell our military men and women, tell the members of our intelligence community that you don't have to follow orders from the commander-in-chief. That is nuts. And as people who actually put the uniform on and serve this nation, they should know better. But they're playing politics. That's what's wrong.
Can I ask you about the controversy with two of your colleagues from Florida, Corey Mills and Sheila Sherfels McCormick?
Right.
Where are you in both of those cases? What do you think about both of them?
As I stand right now, but the allegations are terrible. They're going to be investigated by the Ethics Committee, and we'll see what the results of the Ethics Committee are going to come back with. These are things that should be investigated. And so we'll see where that lands, but the allegations are not good.
And on Congresswoman McCormick, should she be expelled from Congress?
If the ethics, based upon the current standard,
yeah.
Mr. Santos was expelled.
She's going to prison for 50 years.
Back with their report and finding, and the members made a decision, then yeah.
Okay, all right, whatever. So, with a comment on the whole McCormick thing, she's a rep also from Florida, and she just got busted embezzling like $5 million of COVID money that was funneled into FEMA, and that's a whole nightmare that she's dealing with. She just got busted essentially stealing $5 million in federal funds from FEMA, and she's facing something like 57 years in prison. She's been charged with a bunch of felonies, and it's not only her, but her whole family's all wrapped up in it too. So, yeah, that's for a whole nother video. I'm sure I'm going to bring that up tomorrow on The Swamp. So, from this one, Rep. Maggie Goodlander is asked to face what illegal orders she wants the U.S. military to disobey. She refuses to answer. Of course, they're all going to refuse to answer. She doesn't even say what she thinks may have been illegal. Goodlander is terrified because she's committed sedition. I don't know. I guess it's just up to whoever, your interpretation. I don't think they did. I think they knew what they were doing. They knew how to frame it the way that they framed it. They didn't say for the military to disobey any commands that were given from the president. They just said to disobey unlawful ones. But, of course, they're not going to give any examples as to which ones were unlawful because there are none. But, anyway, let's just give this a quick watch.
What
Maybe if it'll play.
orders
Here
are
we
you
go.
urging troops to refuse, and what do you hope they take away from your message?
Alex, we love this country. We love our
Not gonna answer.
Constitution. It is our job as lawmakers, and especially in this moment, to be clear morally, to be clear legally. And simply and clearly stating what the law says, what the Uniform Code of Military Justice says, it's not a crime. It is not treason. It is not sedition. It is our job. And I think it's really important that we do our jobs in this moment.
What illegal...
All right, well, obviously not going to answer that. So, Rep. Maggie Goodlander keeps defending her shameful encouraging of U.S. military to commit sedition and rationalizes it by saying she simply stated what the law said. All right, I guess I'll give that a play.
Simply stating what the law says, what federal law says, that is not sedition, that is not treason, that is my job. I'm a lawmaker, and the law that we are reaffirming is an important one for this country. It is the basic principle that our service members follow lawful orders and lawful orders only. And that should not be a threat. Any other president of the United States in all of our history would absolutely agree with this principle. And that the president has become so unglued by it, I think,
well, give us one unlawful order.
Really
Just
is
one.
telling, and it tells us a lot.
Look, she's on the military, what was it, like the Military Services Committee or the Military Committee on Ethics or whatever. So she should have plenty of knowledge as to a list of unlawful orders that Trump has given. I don't know why she just doesn't give at least one.
About how this president thinks about our system of government and our Constitution. It is not treason to invoke a constitutional principle. It is American and is what we need in this country right now.
Did you believe this is a real threat by the president?
Oh my God, yes!
The president of the United States, our commander-in-chief, is the most powerful person in the world. His words have consequences. And when he
but yours doesn't.
Threatens violence against me, against other members of Congress, against anybody.
Jail isn't violence, lady.
It has real world impacts for real people. And it's not who we are as a country. We've seen
That's not American, lady. When you accuse the president when you accuse the president of saying that he is invoking violence against you when he clearly didn't, then that doesn't really sound a whole lot of American-like to me either.
Violence in this year alone and in recent years in our country, and it's not who we are.
Okay, all right. So moving on to the next one. I'm only playing this stuff because this did happen over the weekend. It just continues. Like the original video that they posted talking about defying unlawful orders from the president, that happened back on, I think it was on Thursday. And of course, it's the big topic of discussion all weekend long. And I pulled some of these from last night when I was going through my feed. I'm planning on talking about this tomorrow. So I'm just playing these now because I'm sure most of what Democrats are talking about in my For You section are pertaining to this specifically. So this chick is married to Jake Sullivan. Google him. It all makes sense. I honestly don't know who Jake Sullivan is. I guess we could Google it. Oh, let's try this Google. All right. Who is Jake Sullivan? AI mode. Let's see what the AI comes up with. American political advisor and attorney who served as 28th U.S. National Security Advisor under Biden from January 21 to January 25. He's currently a faculty member at Harvard Kennedy School and a senior fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Several roles in the U.S. government, National Security Advisor, roles at the State Department during the Biden-Obama administration. He also advised on the Iran nuclear negotiations and Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign. Okay, so he's like a deep-seated Democrat. Education and background. I mean, I thought it was going to give like a whole litany of things that he was being charged with or something, but will they be arrested like they should be? Senator Mark Kelly should have been in prison after going to Ukraine to subvert the president earlier this year. Yeah, maybe. Many great legal scholars agree that the Democrat traitors that told the military to disobey my orders as president have committed a crime of serious proportion. Trump's right. The seditious Democrats shouldn't be on TV. They should be in prison and get a +6 in Congress by holding them accountable. Trump is making sure the public understand the severity of what the Dems just did with that seditious video they posted. Trump would be fully within his executive authority to arrest the seditious six and anyone else who was involved. Perhaps a little soft disclosure. And we already got that one. So, Mr. President, Article 92 of UCMJ, if a soldier given order that is unconstitutional or violates federal law or laws of war, it does not have to be obeyed. And if illegality is clear, they have a duty to disobey it to avoid criminal liability. Thank you for your attention to this matter. All right, so that's the latest as far as that goes. So I guess I'll just move it along. Okay, so this is basically where I left off. So Jose Vega, vote Vega. Candidate for New York District 15. And, of course, he's got the Palestine flag, so he must be very happy with the work that Trump is doing because they're rebuilding Palestine, thanks to Trump. If this can happen to me, a congressional candidate running in one of the most high-profile races in the country, what will they do to you?
My stepdad was
illegally
abducted by ICE just an hour ago.
He was illegally abducted by ICE. Did he cross into this country illegally? Probably. Of course, he's not going to say that.
No process whatsoever is being held in Newark, New Jersey. I was on my way to film a video, a about the Cross Bronx Expressway and give my thoughts on the Trump-Mamdani meeting. And I got a frantic call from my mom. She was in tears, telling me that they had just taken my stepdad.
Oh no, they found him.
They have a lawyer.
It took them 20 years and they finally found him.
This is still a developing, ongoing situation. The main point I want to
well, why didn't your stepdad have his shit together?
Is that if they can do this to me, a congressional candidate running in one of the most high-profile congressional races,
it could happen
in the
to you
country,
because it happened to me.
What can they do to you? Why are they doing this to me? Could this have just been, indiscriminate? They just saw, some man.
Oh yeah, totally indiscriminate. They're just like snatching random people off the street because that's what Democrats want you to believe.
Hispanic and Spanish. And,
yeah, because that's totally lawful.
Doesn't speak much English and thought, yep, this guy's dead.
Yeah, but one thing that this dude is not saying, we're going to sue the federal government. It's we've got all of his documentation. He's got a birth certificate out of the state of, I don't know what, New York, Maryland, or whatever. He's a U.S. citizen. He's not saying any of that. He's just saying, oh my God, he was horrifically kidnapped.
Were they targeting me? Were they
They're
going
targeting
after
me
because I'm challenging power? These are interesting questions that I don't know the answer to.
No, because your stepdad's an illegal alien. That's most likely the reason.
Is my run here in the Bronx
Occam's razor
against Richie Torres and now Michael Fake such a threat to the Democratic establishment that has been working?
Oh, that's what this is all about. The Democrat establishment.
To keep ICE going? That's a question for all of you to figure out.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Democrats, they voted for the creation of ICE too. Almost half of Democrats at the time voted for the creation and installment of ICE, right after 9/11, of course. Breaking 911, liberals in California are reportedly lining up at Home Depot to buy a single 17-cent scraper, returning it, and then repeat the process in an effort to slow sales and protest the store's cooperation with ICE operations. Okay, that's pretty stupid. These people have nothing else better to do with their time? Obviously not. It's not like they got work in the morning or anything. Oh, and they have their protest signs, too.
That's what actually was
out of position. Hey, can everybody's attention, please? If you're purchasing something...
I've been volunteering with...
We can come to this side. Come to this side for the customers to walk through. Not the same.
Well, obviously, this isn't the Home Depot to go to. Just get on your Maps app and then go find the next closest Home Depot to return your items.
But they still have like a good amount of labor.
What are you buying? An ice scraper. Nice. What are you guys buying?
We are buying ice scrapers.
Right.
Thank you.
What are you buying?
Are you sure those are ice scrapers?
An ice scraper. What are you buying today?
I'm buying ice scraper.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that a plastic putty knife?
What are you buying today?
I don't think those are ice scrapers.
I'm buying an anvil putty knife.
An ice scraper?
Ah,
yes,
see, I was correct. I know what I'm talking about. But I get it, though. I get what they're saying. It's an ice scraper, like Immigration and Customs Enforcement. That kind of ice scraper. Okay, Rep. Dan Goldman. No federal badge authorizes the unlawful arrest of or use of excessive force on American citizens. When ICE crosses that line, they're committing crimes under state law. Local law enforcement has a duty to intervene and protect the public, not rogue agents. Oh my God.
Have American citizens being unlawfully arrested by ICE officers.
It's called obstruction, dude. If you're standing in the way of ICE operations, if you're standing out in a public street, like just that alone is probably like jaywalking or some shit. But either way, if you're standing in front of ICE or if you are standing in the way of their normal operations, you could be arrested and imprisoned for up to 8 years.
They are prohibited from arresting American citizens. If they do that, that is not part
unless
of their
they're hindering their
duties.
Investigation, of course.
And when they use excessive force, like the example you just have, that's a violation of state law. That is a crime. That is either kidnapping or assault. And what we need to see a lot more of is local and state police standing up, not to protect the ICE officers from when they're doing their operations, but to protect Americans from ICE, which is acting like a lawless, rogue militia going after and terrorizing our communities.
Lawless, rogue militia. I thought militias were legal under the Second Amendment. All right, so let me ask this from Grok. I'm just curious. What is CNN's current, 2 R's, not 1, current viewership in their key demographic? And I'll probably come back to that because it might take a minute. Oh, maybe not. Key demographic for advertisers is adults aged 25 to 54, often measured in prime time, based on the latest Nielsen ratings as of mid-November 2025. Let's see. CNN's performance had been soft outside of major events like the November 4th off-year elections, where it saw a significant spike. Here's the breakdown. Prime time from 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Look at this. Only 99,000 people are watching this. Dude, there's YouTubers. There's YouTube podcasters that get more viewers than this. Actually, some of which, they actually get more viewers live, actually. This is crazy. This represents a decline from the prior week amid a post-election drop-off. The total day, 73,000 viewers aged 25 to 54, down 20% week over week. These figures place CNN behind Fox News, 191,000 in prime time. So Fox News isn't exactly banging out big numbers either. And MSNBC around 100 to 120,000. But CNN has shown year-over-year growth of about 13% in prime time for this period. So, yeah, in other words, they're getting very, very low viewership. I mean, it's 77,000 during prime time in October of 2025. That is pathetic. I mean, we're talking national cable television. So, yeah, don't think a whole lot of people are really watching that crap, needless to say. So anyway, Spencer Heikemian, breaking an entire job site in Charlotte is vacant after ICE raided the city. This is why the economy is collapsing. Or there's a lot of jobs opening up to American citizens, and also rent is finally coming down in a lot of these cities because there's not a whole bunch of illegals that are occupying all these apartments. And as a result, with all these vacancies, rents will start coming down. I think Americans would really love to see that. But what they might not be telling you is that this could be on a Sunday. Nobody's working today. Everybody got the day off. Or, I don't know, like maybe maybe they're all off to lunch. And this was a perfect time to film a propaganda video. And besides, did this dude just admit that there's a whole bunch of illegal immigrants that are building these giant high-rise buildings? I don't know if that would really be the best idea to do. You think that you would want to hire people who, look, I'm sure in the construction industry, you probably don't have to be certified in a whole bunch of different things unless you're working on like electricity or plumbing or things like that. I mean, when it comes to like hanging drywall, you probably don't have to be certified in anything. But I mean, a lot of people might have second thoughts about moving into a place when it was knowingly built by a whole bunch of illegal immigrants. I don't know. Maybe not. What do I know? Or perhaps what he's not telling us is that all the workers are on the 8th floor and dude's up on the 17th floor where nobody's working currently because there's just no work to do right now on that particular floor. So it would have been pretty easy to film that with that certain framing in mind. Anyway, Libs of TikTok, welcome to the Garden Grove Unified School District in California. See, the other day I was going through my For You section and it was Democrat after Democrat after Democrat after Democrat. So it looks like it might be a little bit more mixed up tonight, so. Native American Heritage, something Board of Education. All right, well, I mean, I don't really see like a big problem with this. I mean, like what? The Garden Grove Unified School District in California, I mean, dude's doing a Native American dance. I mean, I don't know where Garden Grove is. I mean, if it's in the middle of LA, I might have a few questions like, why? I don't know, maybe it was like National Native American People's Heritage Day or something like that. All right, from Elon Musk, the will of the people should be made law. And this is from America. Just a reminder that voter ID is overwhelmingly popular and is not a partisan issue. Voter ID opinion. Do you favor or oppose requiring all voters to provide photo ID at their voting place in order to vote? 84% of people say yes. And that's from Gallup. That is a Gallup poll. So I believe that's a credible poll. I hear Gallup all the time. And Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock. Secretary Kennedy has spent his time in office spreading doubt about vaccines. Now, measles is back. He is a threat to our health and must be fired immediately. So let me take his name and let's do this little experiment here with, once again, on Grok. And let's see what the answer to this might be. I have a feeling it's probably a resounding yes. Of course it is. Senator Raphael Warnock has received significant campaign contributions from the pharmaceutical industry. And I've done this before. I actually did a video on just this same topic, going through my For You section. And without going into any detail, the video was screwed up. I was accidentally playing my theme music, and I forgot to turn it off. And that music doesn't come through my headphones, so I didn't even realize it was playing. So basically ruined the entire video. But I came across like 3 or 4 different Democrats that are talking about RFK Jr. should be fired immediately. He's doing a terrible job. He's a threat to our health and all this and that. So I took each one of their names and plugged it in here to see if they received any money. Of course, Elizabeth Warren, she's received millions of dollars from Big Pharma, and a couple other Democrat reps received hundreds of thousands of dollars, more than a couple. I'm sure most of them have. So look at this, just from the 2021 to 2020 election cycle, what was going on around then? Oh yeah, COVID. Warnock received over $764,000 from the Big Pharma health product sector, making him the top recipient among all lawmakers that cycle. Dude received more Big Pharma money than any other lawmaker from the 2020 or 22 election cycle, at least according to this. This included contributions from executives and employees at companies like Pfizer and Merck and Novartis. Let's see, over 1/3 of the total from these 3 alone. He ranked 3rd in individual pharma employee executive donations from with at least $240,364 during the midterm period. And only from 2021, he accepted $317,900. Plus over $430,000 from corporate executives, some pharma related, and $6,000 from lobbyists. Recent cycles in 2024, 2025 analysis lists Warnock among top Democratic recipients with $1.75 million from Big Pharma donors in the most recent full cycle, behind only Bernie Sanders. Of course, Bernie Sanders takes big time money from Big Pharma. Dude, almost $2 million just from last year alone. That is unfucking believable. Yeah, of course he wants RFK Jr. to step down or be fired, forced to resign, because Big Pharma doesn't like RFK Jr. He's costing them a lot of money. Anyway, Captain Mark Kelly, Trump has been firing those who disagree with him. But here's the thing, he can't fire us. He can try to intimidate all he wants, but I'm not going to be bullied. Who's he firing? Trump has been firing those who disagree with him. Okay. I guess let's ask that question. And I'll come back to that unless it pops up real quick. Oh man, it's pretty quick today. Since taking office, he has overseen a series of high-profile dismissals across federal agencies, targeting appointees from the prior administration. Well, dude, that's completely and totally normal. When a new president comes in, they tend to purge the last administration because they don't align with their messaging, their agenda, whatever it is that they want to roll out. So these actions have frequently been linked to policy disagreements, loyalty concerns, or unfavorable reports and data. Below is a summary of the most notable recent cases, focusing on 2025 events with emphasis on those from mid-2025 onward as quote-unquote lately. So let me full screen this. All right, well, that doesn't help any. Okay, there we go. I mean, it's harder to read if you're watching this on a phone, but Sharia Perlmutter, U.S. Register of Copyrights from the U.S. Copyright Office. Okay. Erica McIntyre, Bureau of Labor Statistics. Well, that was a very good reason because she got caught, manipulating numbers in the jobs market. Robert E. Primus, Chair, Surface Transportation Board. Oh, but he's the first black chair. I don't know why that needs to be said. Gwen Wilcox, National Labor Relations Board member. Kathy Harris, Merit Systems Protection Board member. I mean, not sure where these positions are and how Trump has the authority to let them go, but okay. Mary Boyle, Alexander Hohen, Sarek, Richard Trumka Jr., Consumer Product Safety Commission. The commissioners, disagreements on product safety regulations. Spoke publicly about the threats to SNAP. Unnamed federal worker. Oh, come on. So Trump fired an unnamed federal worker. Planned per reports, benefits during a government shutdown. Officials plan to fire the worker for speaking up as reviewed in internal correspondence. Highlights tensions over shutdown impacts. Of course, there's no details, but I mean, come on, dude. That's a pretty pathetic list if you ask me. But okay. I mean, according to this guy, he's just purging everybody who doesn't agree with him. Let me bring this up to size. All right, we'll give this a play. Hear what this lunatic is saying. Oh, here, let's turn
the military of anybody he thinks may not agree with him. I think there's some evidence of that, or he's fired people because of seemingly because they're women or their color of their skin.
You're just pulling that right out of your ass, sir, because we looked, and I don't think he fired any of those people because of their race or their gender. Pretty sure that's illegal. That's anti-discriminatory practices, and yeah. That's clearly unlawful, and I think like most people, if they were to be fired for that reason, it would be kind of a dream come true because you can sue their asses off and you will win.
But here's the thing, you can't fire us. You know, we cannot be fired, not by the president, just by our
you can be fired
in an election.
Maybe not by the president.
Instead, he's going to try to intimidate us because he disagrees or he didn't like
what we said. These Democrats are so power hungry.
What I think the president should have done is he should have watched the video. He should have listened to the video and listened to the message.
Let's brainwash everybody.
And what I think any other president would have done is they would have retweeted that video and said 2 words.
It's not a retweet. It's a repost.
And maybe follow it up with, of course, members of the military should not follow illegal or unlawful orders. That's what we should expect from a commander-in-chief, but not this guy.
Well, honestly, I kind of tend to agree with him. That last part, that, yeah, he probably should have just left it alone, just said that. Yeah, obviously, if an unlawful order is given, don't follow it. Yeah, that's what Trump should have done. But instead, he said that they're committing sedition. And back in Washington's days, that was punishable by death. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, they're obviously going to try to impeach him over this, especially if Democrats retake the House next election cycle, which let's hope and pray that doesn't happen. Although I don't know how that could possibly happen at this point with all of this ammunition that Republicans now have against Democrats. So anyway, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, this isn't about Democrats or Republicans. It's about protecting victims. Spare me the partisan games. Right is right, wrong is wrong. If you believe in law and order, you should want every trafficker and enabler exposed to survivors can finally get the justice they deserve. I'm assuming we're getting back into the Epstein saga.
We know that the Republicans keep saying, figure out what it is the Democrats have done and make sure that you can pull out the Democratic stuff and make sure you get rid of all the Republican names. Listen, I don't really care who is in the files. At the end of the day, right is right, wrong is wrong. And if you...
Okay, well, so far, there's been quite a few Democrats that have come out, like damning evidence against them, taking money from Epstein and so on and so forth. But you're not going to condemn them, of course, because they're fellow Democrats.
If we're truly about law and order, then we should be looking for who it is that has broken the law and in what ways. And we need to better understand who potentially in government allowed for a lot of these things to take place, whether we're talking about the fake immigration paperwork that we've heard from a lot of the survivors, whether we're talking about other foreign governments that have participated and who it was that allowed for that, whether we're talking about the sham organizations, the sham
like USAID
agencies that were nothing but a front for trafficking. We need to know whether or not
that should be investigated. I agree. I totally agree.
This is about not only making sure that the survivors get justice, but making sure that there aren't others that are going through a similar system right now.
Look, to be honest, I'm not pushing back against pretty much everything she said, with the exception to the statement she made about Republicans, accusing them of trying to redact their names out of the Epstein files. I mean, that's stupid. All right, Congressman Greg Casar, or Cesar Casar, Trump made $5 billion on corrupt crypto schemes while kicking 17 million Americans off their health care. Now, that ain't true, but I know they keep throwing out that number. 17 million just lost their health care. There were a lot of people who were fraudulently on Medicaid and Medicare, and yeah, they were kicked off. And there were a lot of illegal immigrants that were taking Medicaid and Medicare. They were kicked off. I'm not sure if that amounts to 17 million, but it's probably pretty close to it.
Yo, we can understand this entire mess with just two numbers. Yesterday, we learned that Donald Trump has personally made $5 billion off of his corrupt crypto schemes since he just took office.
Wait a minute. $5 billion from crypto schemes. Has Trump made $5 billion? Billion. From, what was it? From fake crypto schemes? Is that what he's... No, he didn't say that. What did he say? Like, hold on. I want to get it right. Oh, corrupt. That's what it was. Corrupt. From corrupt. I don't know. Well, let's take a look and see what, at least what Grok says. No! There's no evidence that President Donald Trump personally pocketed $5 billion in cash from crypto. Not from any ventures. However, reports indicate that he and his family have seen their net worth increase by approximately $5 billion in unrealized paper gains from these activities, primarily through the valuation of tokens they control in World Liberty Financial and the $ Trump meme coin. Really, they, of course, they got a lot of money in Trump coin. It's hilarious. Yeah, well, they also stand to lose their asses off on that because at the end of the day, it's just a shit coin. These gains stem from token sales and market surges tied to Trump's presidency and pro-crypto policies, but they are not yet liquid cash. Realized revenue is far lower in the hundreds of millions. That is true too. I mean, you might have a digital number, a $sign next to your crypto holdings, but you haven't gained any of that capital until you sell it off. I mean, just because, like, if you buy, $1,000 worth of Bitcoin and it skyrockets up to $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, I mean, it might say you got 100 grand worth of it, but until you cash out, it's not really 100 grand yet. But anyway, that said, the ventures have drawn widespread allegation of corruption from Democrats. Well, yeah, of course. Anytime Trump makes money, they're just going to throw out the word corruption all willy-nilly. Ethics watchdogs, investigators, critics argue they exploit Trump's office for personal enrichment, enable foreign influence via investments from sanctioned or fraud-accused entities. But isn't that what a lot of Democrats are doing? I mean, how many Democrats have become millionaires ever since taking office, whether if it's in the House or the Senate, even in the presidency? I mean, has Joe Biden, how much money did his net worth increase while he was president? I don't know. I'm sure it was probably more than nothing. So anyway, like they've got some examples here: World Liberty Financial, the meme coin, Trump organization crypto income. So let's see, total realized $802 million in H1, net worth impact $3 billion to $7.3 billion, crypto 73%. I don't know how it's doing right now because crypto's been heading down over the last couple of weeks, even the last month. I mean, crypto's really taken a hit recently. All right, so anyway, Joe Biden's net worth has increased modestly during his time in office from $8 million to $10 million. Oh, well, so he still gained $2 million, $2 million gain, primarily driven by appreciation of his real estate holdings, his presidential salary, and minor investment returns. Oh, yeah, Joe Biden kept his salary. He's not donating that salary. All right, let's head back and just keep this going.
Since he just took office. Shame on him. Meanwhile, Trump has signed a bill to try to kick 17 million Americans off of their health care.
Fraud, waste, and abuse.
$5 billion for one man, while millions of people lose their health care to pay for tax cuts for the rich. Is that how things are supposed to work here in the United States of America?
They still can't connect that.
Things are supposed to work here in the United States of America. It's the same old story over and over again. Trump gets rich, his friends get rich, working people get screwed.
How is cutting healthcare giving billions of dollars, or making the billionaires more wealthy? I don't get that. I mean, it's certainly not making any billionaires or any multimillionaires in the healthcare industry any richer. And plus, Democrats, they're trying, in the one big beautiful bill, there was $50 billion that was allocated for rural hospitals and medical facilities because they're making cuts to Medicaid for a litany of reasons. And they passed $50 billion to help keep those hospitals operating because they do rely on Medicaid and Medicare money. And Democrats have been fighting relentlessly to have that stripped away from the one big beautiful bill. So Democrats, they're playing the same game as Republicans are with regard to slashing healthcare funds. So from Raw's alerts, breaking, TMZ is reporting that President Donald Trump might be the one to confirm the existence of aliens. Oh, give me a break. That's so stupid. Oh, that's all it's going to say? Okay, yeah, it's just another one of those gifts. Raw's alerts. That's a little clickbaity if you ask me. But yeah, I don't know about all of that. Look, I'm a huge astronomy buff. I have been since I was old enough to read. I know all kinds of things about astronomy and the cosmos, the universe, and all that good stuff. But do I believe aliens are visiting us? No. I mean, come on, that's ridiculous. All right, Adam Schiff, when it comes to Saudi Arabia, the president isn't putting America first. He's putting his own wealth and his own personal interests ahead of everything else, ahead of you. Great,
so
let's get to listen to Adam Schiffhead.
All these Trump hotels that will now litter Saudi Arabia, all the crypto deals, that's a lot of money, but
it's quite an imagination you got there.
Paid off
Schiff
in the
for
form
brains.
of America's best aircraft, paid off in the form of a new defense
Oh, you're so
deal.
jealous, dude. He hates him because he
United
ain't
States
him.
Paid off in the form of rehabilitation of their leader after the murder dismemberment of Jamal Khashoggi. So that is a lot that Saudi Arabia is getting from
Yeah,
the
Adam
deal.
Schiff, he just wants to be
question
beloved
is,
by
what are
everybody,
you,
and Trump
the
is,
American
and that's what
citizen,
makes him
getting
see.
from this deal? You're not getting more national security. You're risking American technology.
What are
going
his
to
investigations coming along?
You're not getting.
He's under investigation for
your
tax
own
fraud
hotel
and mortgage
deals or
fraud.
anything like that. No, all the enrichment.
Adam
goes
Schiff
to
is.
Trump and his family. No, you're just getting a bill of goods. The president is not putting.
Of course, if
America
Democrats are in
first
charge,
either.
that would never see the light of day.
He's putting his own family, his own wealth, his own personal interests ahead of everything else, ahead of you.
I mean, look, imagine all this shit that Democrats have been engaged with, all this corruption and all of the embezzlement, all of this money, in Adam Schiff's case, the real estate bullshit, trying to get cheaper interest rates and all that nonsense. If Hillary Clinton would have won in 2016, and if Democrats had just clinched the House, the Senate, and the presidency up until today, all of this would have never seen the light of day. I mean, like, all these Democrats would probably be worth 10 times as much as they're actually worth right now if it wasn't for Trump winning. Rep. Betty McCollum, Donald Trump's ugly late-night threats against Minnesota's Somali community do nothing to address the rising cost of living for all Americans from the Trump Republican healthcare crisis and tariffs and tax breaks for billionaires. Again, they make that claim all the time, but they can't connect it. The Somali American community is a vibrant part of our state, and I stand with them amid Trump's attacks. Americans deserve better. Yeah, well, the Somalis are engaged in a lot of shady behavior, especially with that bombshell news break that came out with, it revealed that there were tons of Somalis in Minnesota that are taking their children to these illegitimate medical, quote unquote, medical offices that diagnose these kids with autism when they don't have autism, and they get diagnosed so they can get federal funds to pay for their quote unquote autism. And a lot of that money, in the millions of dollars, is being funneled to terrorist organizations in Somalia, allegedly. So, Polymarket breaking, Marjorie Taylor Greene emerges as top 3 contender in the 2028 GOP presidential primary. I don't know about all that, but okay. I mean, it's on the Republican presidential nominee list. So I guess Polymarket, all right. I mean, J.D. Vance is a commanding lead. Like, if he ends up running for president, I think there's no question he's going to be the top contender for sure. Angela Conley, the Somali community in our state is a beautiful, culturally rich community. There are neighbors and friends, as is the case in all unhinged, xenophobic, and chaotic statements that come from this man. We stand with our Somali neighbors and won't be intimidated by his foul behavior. Of course, the Minnesota Star Tribune, of course, they're not left-leaning at all. Of course, they're not partisan. Of course, they're not biased in any way, shape, or form. Trump says he's ending temporary protected status for Somalis in Minnesota. Well, especially the ones who are breaking the law with this rampant, ridiculous autism scheme that they've been engaged in, which, by the way, amounts to $400 million that they've been able to siphon away from taxpayers because they claim their children to have autism when they, in fact, don't. Oh, so they're not going to let me read it, are they? All right. Well, if you, in the very small, like microscopic chance that you might actually be subscribed to this, I'll link it. And I guess we'll just move on to the next one. By the way, did that get ratioed? It probably did. Yeah, oh my God, you're ruthlessly ratioed. 483 likes, over 1,500 comments, which means the public at large is very much against with what she is saying. Okay. All right, where do we go? John Kennedy. Friends, I guess in 2025, you have to do this sort of thing, but please ignore the AI-generated fake news stories you may have seen about my family and me these past few days on social media, claiming we experienced tragedy. We're all healthy, happy, safe, and sound. We are working with Facebook to remove all the fake stories. Hope you and your family have a wonderful Sunday and a happy Thanksgiving. I have no idea what he's talking about. I didn't hear anything about it. All right, Senate Republicans, choose your fighter. John Husted, a champion for Ohio. Oregon Sherrod Brown, a liberal sellout. Or Sherrod Brown, a liberal sellout who has always sided with radical leftists over Buckeyes. I don't know. Take your pick. I'm probably going with the Republican.
Bernie Moreno, the 72-year-old, is trying for another run, running against newly appointed Republican U.S. Senator John Husted.
John Husted has done a very good job as United States Senator.
Senator Husted, even when he was lieutenant governor, was all about economic development.
Senator Husted, his values, his core values, align very well and represent Republicans in Ohio.
Democrats right now are at such historically low in their popularity that getting a message to working Ohioans, regular middle-class Ohioans, is very difficult for them.
To fund the police, that was Sherrod Brown. All he wants to do is champion radical transgender ideology. That's Sherrod Brown.
He served 3 terms, 18 years, doing next to nothing for the people of Ohio.
And there's a new poll out tonight showing how that race could end up if the vote was held tonight. Incumbent Republican U.S. Senator John Husted has a 6-point edge over former Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown.
All right. Well, if you live in Ohio, sounds like good news to me. And we'll see where that goes. I mean, is that coming up next week? I think there's one big election that's supposed to be happening on Tuesday. I'm assuming that's going to be the one that's coming up on Tuesday. Senator Alex Padilla. Is this how we treat the working immigrants who pay taxes and contribute to their communities? I mean, if they're legal immigrants, no, it's perfectly fine. Treat them, the way that they ought to be treated. They're paying taxes. Anyway, my heart aches for the mothers, the fathers, and the families affected by the president's cruel anti-immigrant agenda. Did we already see this? I have a feeling, maybe not.
Es una tragedia. Me pesa el corazón bien.
All right, it's in Spanish. I don't understand Spanish, so I'm just going to move on. So RNC Research, low IQ, Jasmine Crockett says illegal immigration is good fiscal policy. I'm kind of bummed out that these are not all Democrat posts, because when I did this on Friday, it was just Democrat after Democrat. But we got another one here for Chris Murphy, but we'll play this one first.
I know Democrats don't want to talk about immigration, but I am, because they so I don't think that they will, but I do think it's important that we educate people. And right now we are winning on immigration because now they see that it wasn't just going and getting the bad guys. But when we talk about things like Social Security, most people don't understand that it's those folk that aren't necessarily citizens. When they go to work, they actually pay into our Social Security.
If they're illegals, they're not paying anything into Social Security.
Pull down on, and undocumented folk account for
even if they are, they don't deserve Social Security if they're paying into it
in tax revenue. So it's just good fiscal policy is what I would like to say about it.
Look, I would say visa holders, permanent residents, anyone who's not an ironclad American citizen, you should have no entitlement whatsoever to any Social Security, even if you are paying into it. I mean, that's a system for Americans, American citizens. Chris Murphy, Republicans aren't going to be able to avoid accountability for the massive health premium increases that are coming. Well, dude, that falls squarely on Democrats. It's Obamacare. They're going to try to gaslight this until the cows come home, because they own this. Not a single Republican voted for Obamacare, and this is exclusively Obamacare as to why healthcare is getting so expensive, which we all know that. So some people in Connecticut are getting a $25,000 increase. So Chuck Schumer seems to be correct. What Republicans have done is immoral. It's going to get people killed. Oh my God, the hyperbole.
I support the way that the short-term budget was agreed to, because I thought that we actually could get Donald Trump and Republicans to agree to both open the government and remove these premium increases. So it's not surprising to me that Republicans
remove these premium increases. I mean, that's one way to put it, but the real way to put it is to extend the tax credits, take more money from tax-paying citizens and pay into a system that is an absolute failure and is only going to increase forever. So they just want to keep putting the Band-Aid on the broken arm with Obamacare, just keep dumping endless amounts of money, cutting blank checks to the insurance companies forever and ever without simply just addressing the problem at hand.
Committed to doing anything about this, but ultimately as people start paying those higher premiums, and for a lot of people in my state it's going to be a $25,000 increase in premiums in January, the pressure is just going to ramp up and ramp up and ramp up. So yes, today maybe Republicans are saying
until you fix the real problem.
But when that pain hits millions of families' pocketbooks in January, maybe we'll have a shot then. We're not going to stop fighting on behalf of families. I mean,
maybe you should stop subsidizing
healthcare. What's your message to the 8 Democrats or 7 Democrats and 1 independent who did vote to end the shutdown, being promised there would be a vote on the Obamacare subsidy? I guess there may still be a vote there, but it may not be a vote that does anything.
Yeah, the reality is that the Congress doesn't work the way that it used to. It used to be that you could negotiate with Senate Republicans. I did this all the time on guns, on immigration.
Oh yeah, it's totally Republicans' fault for that.
They would stick to the agreement that they made. Today, all that matters is what Donald Trump believes. So you really can't negotiate. I wish this weren't true, but you really can't negotiate with Senate or House Republicans because they are just waiting for Donald Trump to tell them what to do. You've got to be negotiating directly with the White House. And right now, the White House
that's totally
has drawn a line in the sand. They are telling us we are determined to increase costs, determined to increase health premiums on Americans this winter because our
look, Democrats, they can't even tell you who's leading their party.
Protecting the rich and
it's all fractured all over the place.
Only priority is raising premiums for the very, very rich and corporations.
Which it sounds like to me that they're just going to let the Marxists take over the party. And the polls that I've seen with regard to people who favor Marxism, it's well below 20% when you poll just America at large. Homeland Security, fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yeah, I will help thee. Yeah, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10.
We at war with terrorism, racism. But most of all, we at war with ourselves.
For God and country.
Jesus walk. God showed me the way because the devil's trying to break me down. Jesus walks with the only thing that I pray is that my feet don't fail me. Jesus walk. And I don't think there's nothing I can do now to right my wrongs. Jesus walks with I want to talk to God, but I'm afraid because we ain't spoken so long. Jesus walk. God showed me the way because the devil's trying to break me down. Jesus walks with the only thing that I pray is that my feet don't fail me now. Jesus walk. And I don't think there's nothing I can do now to right my wrongs. Jesus walks with I want to talk to God, but I'm afraid because we ain't spoken so long.
All right, Department of Homeland Security. So if that entire minute was completely dead air, it's because YouTube made me cut the song out. All right, Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander, right? Is it Goodlander? Yeah, Goodlander. Housing costs in New Hampshire outpace family incomes by more than 5 times. Outrageous. Yeah, it is outrageous. A decade ago in 2015, the median age of a first-time American homebuyer was only 31 years old. Today, it's 40. Not right. Record low supply is a core driver of the sky-high housing costs. Well, that's certainly not the case in Florida, because we have an oversupply in inventory, but yet housing here is still averaging $400,000 or $500,000 on average. We need to build way more homes and change how we build homes. So that's what I'm working to do in Congress, and I won't quit. I have a feeling that's not going to fix the problem. I mean, if you double the amount of houses available, maybe it will. It might. New housing inventory. But I'm sure those companies that build those houses, they're still going to command the prices that they're getting now. And if people keep paying for it, then obviously the prices are going to stand. America's still building fewer homes than it was before 2008. Yeah, it is. Yep, still building way fewer than they were. Of course, I don't know if, where was it? New Hampshire. Not sure if it's a sanctuary state. Wouldn't surprise me if it was. Or wasn't. No. I'm thinking of Vermont. Vermont's probably a sanctuary state, but I don't know. What am I? I don't know anything about New England. So yeah, if there's a whole bunch of illegals that are living there, then that's probably, cutting into the high cost of living or high cost of housing. Anyway, what's this bar graph? Median household income, the comparison of median household income and home prices for single family homes in New Hampshire in current dollars. Yeah, absolutely ridiculous, dude. Median sales price, SF home. Yeah, definitely on the upswing. And median household income, barely moving. Yeah. Dude, the median household income in New Hampshire is over $100,000 a year. Damn, dude, must be nice. Must be really nice. But yeah, I mean, a lot of problems there. Some conspiracies going on, like in Texas. Like there's some people in Texas, they believe that the local property appraisal offices are in collusion with certain entities to jack up the cost of housing in order to take more money in property taxes from people. So I don't know how true that necessarily is. I'm sure that there's a lot of funny business going on with major banks and possibly property appraisal offices too, because the banks, I mean, everybody that's got a mortgage, I mean, you don't own your house, the bank owns the house. So banks absolutely love this doubling of our housing market because it only makes them a lot richer, at least on paper. Or not even on paper, they own all the properties. So Secretary Linda McMahon, the Department of Education has spent over $3 trillion and our students are falling further and further behind. The current system isn't working. Our education system needs a hard reset. Yeah, I think you could probably trace it all the way back to 1979 when the Department of Education was first implemented, that performance, test scores, and just overall student performance nationwide has just been going down, down, down ever since this was implemented.
I have called for a hard reset of education because we have failed our students. We've spent $3 trillion since the Department of Education was set up, and we have seen our scores continually to decline. And we need a renaissance in education.
On that,
yeah, we absolutely do. I mean, we used to be the best in the world, and we're probably not even in the top 10 anymore. Daily Caller, ABC, do you believe that President Trump has issued any illegal orders? Slotkin, to my knowledge, I am not aware of things that are illegal. So she actually admits that the entire video that they made from the get-go was absolutely completely pointless.
So let's talk right now. Do you believe President Trump has issued any illegal orders?
To my knowledge, I am not aware of things that are illegal, but...
Wow, she finally admitted it. I don't know why they only made it 11 seconds. They should have played out another 10 seconds. I wanted to hear what her excuse was. Department of Government Efficiency. I haven't heard from them in a while. Contracts update. Over the last 9 days, agencies terminated and descoped 78 wasteful contracts with a ceiling value of $1.9 billion and savings of $335 million, including a $616,000 HHS IT services contract for a, quote, social media monitoring platform subscription, end quote. Also, a $191,000 USAGM broadcasting contract for, quote, broadcasting operations and maintenance in Ethiopia and Africa, end quote. And a $4.3 million IRS IT services contract for, quote, Inflation Reduction Act transformation project management support, end quote. It's absolutely ridiculous. So they've got project management support for the Inflation Reduction Act that they're paying over $4.3 million into. So I'm assuming that they wiped all that out, hopefully. Well, I mean, I don't think DOJ has the unilateral authority to wipe out, certain sectors of the government. I think all they could do is just do their audits and report accordingly. Congressman Eugene Vindman. Trump is so scared of releasing the transcript of his 2019 call with Mohammed bin Salman that he's resorted to spewing lies in a pathetic attempt to silence me. Spoiler alert, it won't work. I mean, yeah, that's a classic case of, smoke and mirrors. Like, oh, no, look over here. Like, don't look at what's actually going on that the American people should be paying attention to. Look over at this nonsense from 2019 over a stupid fucking phone call. Who cares? Like really, who gives a shit? So I'll link it, but I'm not going to read into all that. But it'll be in the description from Washington Post. Rep. Lauren Underwood, through my oversight work, we uncovered that Secretary Noem is wasting $200 million on not one, but 2 private planes. I'm demanding answers. Look, I heard that the planes that they have in operation, that they've gotten definitive answers from experts with regard to maintaining the planes that they're currently using, which I heard that they're like 20 years old, which I don't think that's all that old for planes. Aren't there some airlines that people still fly on in the airline industry that were built in like the 1970s and they're still in service? But apparently the maintenance costs are becoming so financially unreasonable that it would just be more feasible that the Department of Homeland Security just buys 2 new private jets. I mean, I don't exactly agree with it, but I don't know a whole lot about it. But yeah, I mean, that's what they're doing. They're going to take $200 million and they're going to buy a couple of private jets for Homeland Security.
Hey guys, remember this spring when I told you that Kristi Noem wanted $50 million for a brand new plane? Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, y'all remember her? Well, she's trying to take $50 million from the Coast Guard budget for a new Gulfstream private plane. Well, through my oversight work, we've now found out that she's bought not 1 plane, but 2 planes costing more than $200 million of your taxpayer money.
Oh, that's so bad.
Kristi Noem has spent the last several months in charge of a campaign to instill fear in our community. They are trampling on our constitutional rights, sending ICE to snatch our neighbors. Millions of Americans are
yeah, ICE is just snatching up random neighbors.
Their healthcare costs are skyrocketing, and Secretary Noem is buying not 1, but 2 new private planes. Unacceptable.
Yeah, she's going to fly on 2 airplanes at the same time. There's going to be one following the other just in case the first one goes down. There could be another one already at the ready. All right, Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene, America, you are lied to every single day to keep you distracted from the fact that our government is broken beyond repair and the political industrial complex is the problem. Yeah, I tend to agree with her there. So she goes on that says, Time claims sources told them I'm running for president in 2028, which means this is a complete lie. And they made it up because they can't even quote the names of the people who they claim said it. That's not journalism. It's called lying. So if you have any money in Polymarket on Marjorie Taylor Greene, you might want to cash that out now. I'm not running for president and never said I wanted to and have only laughed about it when anyone would mention it. If you fell for those headlines, you're still being lulled every day into psychosis by the political industrial complex that always has an agenda when it does something like this. Running for president requires traveling all over the country, begging for donations all day, every day to raise hundreds of millions of dollars, arguing political talking points every day to the point of exhaustion, destroying your health, and having no personal life in order to attempt to get enough votes to become president, all to go to work into a system that refuses to fix any of America's problems. The fact that I'd have to go through all that but would be totally blocked from truly fixing anything is exactly why I would never do it. And most importantly, I'm not the kind of person who is willing to make the deals that must be made in order to be allowed to have the title. Again, I'm not motivated by power and titles. The political industrial complex has destroyed our country and will never allow someone like me or you to rise to power and actually solve the crisis that plague all of us. Well, that's why they're so dead set against Trump to the point where they've actually had this whole new, essentially a DSM-5 diagnosis of Trump derangement syndrome, because that's what Trump did. He barged in and became president, and he didn't get their blessing. That would go against its business model. Instead of swallowing lies that you are spoon-fed and parroting attack phrases against me in your comments, you all should open your eyes and focus on real actions and what is actually happening to our country. Are you happy with $38 trillion in debt and the fact that it will only drastically get higher? No, obviously not. Are you happy that Social Security won't be able to pay full benefits starting in 2033 and most of us will never receive any benefits at all? Are you happy that Democrats created our healthcare crisis with Obamacare and tax credits and Republicans refused to fix it? Are you happy about paying taxes on literally everything and being one of the highest taxed people on earth? Are you worried we might be invaded one day and ignoring the fact that our government already allowed us to be invaded not only through our southern border, but also by constantly handing out legal visas that steal your jobs? Well, also, there's 300,000 Chinese citizens that are coming over and taking advantage of our education system every year. Are you afraid we might go to war but ignore the fact that our government already sent us to war to fight for foreign countries and cause not our own for decades already? If you are still fighting each other about the shiny objects the political industrial complex blinds you with every day and not paying attention to the damage that has been done and is still being done, then Americans will never join together to save themselves. So Time, Marjorie Taylor Greene has privately told allies that she has considered running for the presidency in 2028, according to people close to her. I mean, yeah, the political industrial complex definitely involves the mainstream media, and there's no doubt about that. So, all right, moving on to Senator Alyssa Slotkin. What is happening in Venezuela? I don't know what is happening in Venezuela. I mean, I know, but
in recent days, the State Department has designated a group called the Cartel de los Soles a terrorist organization. And they say that the Venezuelan president, Maduro,
I thought it was Cartel de los Sols. I kept saying Sols.
It's unclear whether this is just a bluff or this is signaling some intent
it's like Cartel
for
of
the
the
US
Sun
military
or something
to go
like
and take
that.
military action on Venezuelan soil and potentially even think about taking out their problematic president. The United States is not particularly good at regime change.
Are you
as someone who
pro-Maduro?
served in
Is that
Iraq.
what you're trying to say?
I will tell you, I saw that firsthand.
Yeah, because he's a leftist.
And
Of course
I think
they like
most
him.
people are pretty tired at the idea of going into another war.
Well, then why do the Democrats so heavily support Ukraine then? I mean, they would otherwise have no reason to support Ukraine. I mean, like, why put so much weight and so much support behind Ukraine if you didn't enjoy and revel at the idea that boots would be on the ground in Ukraine?
I'm calling for public hearings. The Secretary of Defense should come down and air out the conversation on whether we are about to take military action in Venezuela. There couldn't be something more important when it comes to issues of war and peace.
No, you just don't want boots on the ground because it would be under the Trump administration. No, you want Democrats doing it. You don't want Republicans doing it. And plus, I'm sure that she probably okayed us sending over, over $100 billion or what was it, over $200 billion that we sent over to Ukraine for their freaking war effort. I'm sure that she signed off on that. I think it was like 120 billion or whatever the amount was. It was an absolutely absurd amount. So if you're so anti-war, then why are you taking hundreds of billions of our tax money and funding it for war? I don't know. Hakeem Jeffries, we are fighting hard to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. I don't know why, because it's an absolute failure. Republicans have zero interest in making healthcare affordable for everyday Americans. Not through Obamacare, they don't. You deserve better. And he got 2,600 likes, almost 5,000 comments, brutal ratio. Because Hakeem Jeffries, him and Chucky Chuck Schumer, I think that they might, if there was a top 10 list of most ratioed accounts on the entirety of the X platform, I would bet my money on either of those, if not both of those, being in the top 2. Omar Fateh. The president does not have the authority to terminate this program on his own, but I'm sure he's hoping this will distract you from the 1,500 times he's mentioned in the Epstein files. Dude, if he was mentioned once in the Epstein files, they would have used that as all the ammunition they could possibly muster against him in 2024, in 2020, in 2016. Every single freaking day. We would never hear the end of it if they had actual proof that Donald Trump's name was mentioned, hell, even 10 times, let alone 1,500 times. Just another number that a Democrat yanks out of their ass. Minnesota, under Governor Walz, is a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity, which it is. I am, as President of the United States, hereby terminating, effective immediately, the temporary protected status for Somalis in Minnesota. Somali gangs are terrorizing the people of that great state, and billions of dollars are missing. Send them back to where they came from. It's over. Wow. Sounds like they're about to get a visit from ICE. They're going to start rounding up tons of Somalis. That's going to be quite interesting to see. And then all of a sudden, is crime going to go down a lot? Is tons of money going to be discovered? Because, like I've said, not to keep beating that horse with regard to the autism thing, but there's been millions and millions of dollars that's gone into this fraudulent autism scheme that's been going on with these Somalis, and a lot of that money, which is measured in the tens of millions of dollars, has been funneled into terrorist organizations in Somalia, allegedly. Rep. Jason Crow, Donald Trump, another TDS, is threatening me with arrest and execution because I'm upholding my oath to the Constitution and standing with the troops. It tells you all you need to know about this president's disregard for the rule of law.
There's two things going on here, Margaret. One is the irresponsible and dangerous rhetoric by the president of the United States, threatening to have members of Congress executed who he disagrees with. But it's also so telling that when members of Congress simply remind service members of the Constitution and their duty to obey the law, which is not just our right, but is our obligation to do, that he cannot handle that, and he resorts to threats of violence and threats of arrest and execution.
Yeah, but why would you have to make a video with 5 other Democrats telling and reminding troops that they shall not, or they have no obligation to follow unlawful orders? Doesn't the military already know that? Aren't you just telling them something that they already know? So the only reason you would post that video either is because you believe that there have been unlawful orders issued that the military is following, or you're baiting Trump. one or the other. And I believe the latter to be absolutely true. And Trump, unfortunately, took the bait.
That tells you everything you need to know about Donald Trump's respect for the Constitution and the rule of law, and actually underscores our point. There's two things going on here, Margaret.
Yeah, because they have tons of respect for the Constitution, especially during the COVID era. I mean, yeah, they absolutely loved and respected the Constitution during COVID when they were forcing people into lockdown, forcing people to double mask, forcing people to get a vaccine, even though it's my body, my choice. All right, Pramila J. Powell. Oh, she's back with her little rainbow thing. Trump miraculously found millions of dollars to build a golden ballroom. No, he didn't. He didn't find it. He actually, he opened up his wallet and then he funded a ballroom. But won't protect healthcare for 15 million Americans who are at risk of becoming uninsured thanks to his big bad betrayal. This is ridiculous. And yeah, I know there's big companies that also contributed to the ballroom. It wasn't just Trump, even though he did put some of his money into it. Yusra Arab. I'm tired of Somali Minnesotans being treated like suspects instead of neighbors. The hostility toward our community is growing and it's time to talk about it. All right, well then just start showcasing good things that Somalians are doing. Somalis. Just do that. Just start posting endless videos of all the great work that Somalis in Minnesota are doing, and then people might feel some kind of way with regard to deporting all of them. Senator Patty Murray. The Trump administration took massive and illegal steps this week to try and abolish the Department of Education without any consideration of the cost to students, families, and educators. Dude, you really want to get up on that soapbox? Because we've already got all the data, the facts, the statistics that the quality of education in America has been drastically going downhill. And I'm sure the Federal Department of Education probably plays a big part in that. But anyway, let's hear what she has to say.
Came into office vowing to abolish the department. Despite saying he didn't know anything about Project 2025 and didn't have anything to do with it, he decided he was going to make implementing the Project 2025 plan to abolish the Department of Education one of his top goals. He appointed a billionaire, former wrestling CEO with virtually no experience in education to run the department.
Was it Triple H?
Someone who said that her goal as secretary would be to put herself out of a job. Every
Or are you thinking of Vince McMahon? No, it's actually Linda
and
McMahon,
every Democrat opposed her nomination. And in the months since, Trump and McMahon have done everything they possibly can to destroy the department without any consideration of the cost to students, families, and educators.
All right. Well, they actually can't fully dismantle the Department of Education, but they can move certain elements of it around, which they're doing right now. Let's see any comments, anything decent. Department of Education has accomplished while spending trillions of dollars. Here's the National Assessment of Educational Progress, the NAEP reading and math test result. I ask for results, not excuses. So the trend in NAEP long-term trend reading and mathematics average scores for 13-year-old students displayed as a graph. Reading, 4 points compared to 2020. Obviously, it's in decline. And 2020 from 260 to 256. Mathematics from 280 to 271. So, yeah, I mean, this goes all the way back to 1973. So reading has pretty much been flatlined. I mean, look, if everybody had a stellar level of reading back in the 70s, then yeah, I'd expect nothing less than for the graph to be relatively stable. But like mathematics gradually increasing and now it's starting to drop. I mean, it's been look, this is only for 13-year-old students. This isn't, the entire education system at large. So, I mean, with regard to the broader scope of education, as my understanding goes, it's been in decline for decades in terms of performance. World Government Watchdog, what exactly did they do that was illegal? Can you define it specifically for our citizens? No, the Democrats, they can never define anything specifically, really. And whenever they throw out numbers, they don't have any data, they don't have any sources to back up anything they're talking about. Patty and every Dem are trying to get rid of PC sheriffs like Swank for America, my personal hero. Please call and say, I don't know, I'm not sure about all that. With the aid of AI, Patty speaks the truth. I'm hesitant, but I'm very curious to see what they got her to say with AI.
My father got drunk, slept with a mop, and here I gan.
And here I gan? All right, whatever. They considered the cost to the taxpayer and decided that we were pissing money down a hole. I see why am I. The majority of Americans want school choice. You Democrats, on the other hand, would rather cut your right arm off than to give children in bad schools options for a better education. Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, they want full control. They want to turn, well, they already have turned our education system into full-on communism already. That's basically all it is. You know, you get in trouble if you don't show up on time. You learn what they tell you to learn. You stand in line everywhere you go. If you want to go to the bathroom, you got to get permission, for crying out loud. You know, you eat what they tell you to eat. You do the homework as they tell you to do it. All right, is it just me, or does she look like a barking poodle? That's hilarious. That reminds me of, like, back on, who was that? Maury? I think it was like Maury Povich, or it might have been even possibly Jerry Springer, where they had people appear on the show that look identical to the dogs they own. Oh man, cable TV used to be, I don't know. Nah, that was annoying. Those shows anyway, but except Jerry Springer. No, dude, I was a big fan of Maury and Jerry Springer back in the day. Not the whole stupid dog look-alike nonsense. That's what I was speaking to. But though you are not the father, dude, I was full on addicted to that stuff back in the day. All right, I'm not going to let you get away with this misleading post. You left out the keyword illegal to disobey illegal orders. For example, if you gave an order to hang Governor Newsom, this command should be disobeyed. Many great legal scholars agree that the Democrat traitors that told the military to disobey my orders as president have committed a crime of serious proportion, which the video did say. The video said to disobey illegal orders, and they did clearly say that in the video. They didn't say disobey Trump's orders. They didn't say that, but whatever. So Zainab Mohammed, this has never been about fraud or terrorism. Their goal is denaturalize and deport as many as possible. They want a whiter country. Uh-oh. Christopher F. Rufo, canceling TPS for Minnesota Somalis is a great start. Next, review all asylum, refugee, and citizenship applications for any hint of fraud or technical error. Then initiate denaturalizations and mass deportations up to the furthest limits of the law. They have to go home. Well, especially if they're breaking the law, regardless of what color you might be. Rep. Jim McGovern, Trump promised to bring manufacturing jobs back to America. Instead, 58,000 manufacturing workers have lost their jobs in America since his stupid tariffs took effect. Then he lies to our faces, saying the economy has never been better. Outrageous. So Fred, thousands of persons, all employees, manufacturing. And that goes until September of 2025 from 12,000. Look at this. Look at this shit. Look how misleading this is. So it goes from 12,760 all the way down to 12,705 or 706. So hardly a sharp decline. I mean, he is correct that it does appear to be declining, which of course, all these manufacturing investment funds and all of these manufacturing companies that have pledged to build factories in the U.S., they can't build them overnight. So we're not going to see real explosions of growth in manufacturing probably until like 2027, maybe 2028, when all of these factories actually start opening and they start employing people for the manufacturing sector. Occupied Democrats potential ticket. Oh, that'd be hilarious. I guess if they think that'll help, why not? ACYN, AOC, the president's remarks indicate a level of instability. It's not just shocking, it's not just offensive, it's bizarre, it's erratic, it's volatile. I think it indicates a mental state that we should all be questioning right now. I don't know, let's take a look.
To be honest, the president's remarks are, I think, indicate a level of instability. It's not just shocking, it's not just offensive. It's
because Democrats are so stable.
It is erratic, it's volatile, and I think it indicates
sounds like Democrats.
A mental state
erratic,
we should
unstable.
All be questioning right now, whether that's emotional, mental, what have you. It is not normal to make these
back there drinking her $30 tea.
To invoke these kinds of threats of
Actually,
violence.
That's AOC's tea. She's holding on to it for.
It's also not normal to also dramatically miss
that's AOC's tea holder.
What these members of Congress said. They made a very clear message to U.S. service members, which is that you do not have to obey an illegal order. And I think
but why would they say that? I mean, the military already knows that.
Because this administration seems to be increasingly trying to go down that path.
All right. Okay. Well, didn't really get anything out of that, but okay. Pocahontas Warren. Our healthcare system is badly broken by Republicans. Concepts of a plan to crush the Affordable Care Act for the umpteenth time is just not going to work. Why isn't it going to work, Miss? I've taken millions and millions of dollars from Big Pharma.
I think our healthcare system is broken. I think it's badly broken. And if the Republicans want to get serious about lowering costs and taking on corporate greed, count me in. But Republicans continuing to put forward the same greedy corporations that give you shitloads of money, just so that they can crush the ACA, which they've tried to do 70 times already.
Yeah, because it's broken, dummy.
Is not going to work. Some kind of savings account that maybe rolls in a year from now. Families are struggling right now, and
they'll get that money back.
Need help right now. And Donald Trump may be absorbed on having bulldozers tear down the East Wing and put up a new ballroom, but American families are facing real cost increases, and it's time for Congress to respond.
Well, no, she's speaking on behalf of Big Pharma. They want those big blank checks to keep rolling in on behalf of the taxpayers. Or from the taxpayers, I mean. Eric Swallowswell, judge me by my enemies.
This guy is so cringe.
Holy
Trump
shit.
Has real strength.
Swallow's
trying to look strong, and the president does not like him at all. Please welcome Congressman Eric Swalwell.
Swallowswell. He tried so hard to look cool. He's desperately trying hard to look cool. Yeah, if cringe were encapsulated in a human being, it would be Eric Swallowswell. The persistence. What's the most important things you want to see President Trump and the Republican Party accomplish in 2026? That's actually a pretty good question. I don't know. Let's see what some of the answers are. Nationwide voter ID laws. I agree. More deportations. Arrest every single corrupt politician. Yeah. Ban Islam in the U.S. Well, Islam, I don't know. Freedom of religion, I'm not sure. Not sure if that can happen, but make judges responsible for the actions of repeat offenders they release back onto the public. Look, Islam, I don't know, like Muslim, Islam, is that the same thing? Probably isn't the same thing. I mean, I'm completely ignorant when it comes to like Muslim and Islam or whatever. I mean, Islam, is that like carrying out like Sharia law? I mean, that should be banned, obviously, in the U.S. So anyway, 1 day voting and no more mail ballots, and, you know, make Election Day a holiday while you're at it. Take back the House and Senate with margins big enough to expel the remaining rhino deadweight. And fire Pam Bondi. Arrest and prosecute all the corrupt criminal politicians, and see below. And 0 of it will be done. 1 day, 1 vote. Paper ballots, proof of citizenship, in person, no mass mail-in. Smaller precincts, national holiday, results by 9 p.m. Winners announced by midnight. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That would be a pretty solid system. The grim, if we don't get voter reforms passed before 2026, there won't be a 2026. It will just be a lame duck 2 years. Probably will. Yeah, if Democrats take over, sure, it absolutely will be. It'll just be nothing but impeachment, impeachment, impeachment. Hold the Democratic Party accountable for their sedition and treason and for their continued fraud, waste, and abuse of U.S. taxpayer money, and make trillions of dollars to pay down the debt and give back to the American people. Voter ID laws, so many things. Voter ID would be a good one. Fix the voting fraud. Stop doing the bidding of donors or lose massive support. Stop election fraud. I sense a theme here. Modify DOJ, enact voting laws, enact term limits. Well, I mean, and Scott Presler, he's huge on, like, his big thing is registering voters. So it doesn't surprise me that most of these comments are with regard to strengthening our voter laws. So anyway, the Tennessee holler. Why not just hire Americans? We'd love to. We can't find the numbers. This is hard work lots of people won't do. Trump's policies are definitely impacting the labor force and hurting our farmers. 50 to 60% of the labor force is undocumented. Well, pay them more. Just give them more money. Quit paying them like $3 an hour. Pay them minimum wage at least. And plus, look, like a lot of the labor in with regard to farming, it's not all over the country, of course, but there's certain areas of the country where they pick a lot of crops during the summertime, which happens to be when a lot of high schoolers are out for the summer. I mean, you could hire them for summer seasonal work and just pay them minimum wage at least.
Why not just hire people from here?
Yeah, so we would love to hire people from here. The reality is we can't find the numbers of people here. We're in a rural area, number one. Number two, this is hard work. It is difficult work. And there are lots of people that are not willing to do it.
There is a clear directive from the administration that they want mass deportation. that is impacting then our labor
the majority
force.
of Americans want mass deportations.
It's absolutely impacting
76%.
the labor force, and the president said so himself. He said the aggressive raids are hurting our farmers. Somewhere between 50 and 60% of our farm labor workforce is undocumented immigrants. If we were to deport them all overnight, then that's 60% of the workforce. That means higher prices for them at the grocery store.
Or it would mean that the farmers don't have as big of a bottom line. Wait, did this dude just admit to breaking a whole bunch of federal laws by hiring illegal immigrants? I mean, just by posting this video, I have a feeling that his farm might get raided in the coming days. Brian Rommel, behold, the reality of our relativity in the solar system. Oh, these are fun. I like watching these. See what this, unless I'm getting trolled. Maybe not. We see the scale of the universe, or at least of the solar system. Deimos and Phobos around Mars. And Neptune. And then Uranus. And Saturn. And Jupiter. And the Sun. Oh, that's cool. Yep. Hell of a solar system. Nothing like it out there. We're quite unique. Susie Rizzio, this is the day in 2010 when a president did have a plan and 30 million Americans received health care that saved their lives. This is the day most Americans will never forget in their lifetime, and it was thanks to President Obama and VP Biden since they made it a reality. You know, you get to keep your doctor, all that good stuff. 30 million Americans received health care. And yeah, the healthcare system was like phenomenally better back then than it is today. I mean, we didn't have multi-$1,000 deductibles to have to worry about back then like we do now. Imagine what the big pharma boardrooms looked like on that day. Tons of champagne. Tons of celebration. We're about to get rich. Too bad they didn't show the screen. Oh, there it is. Okay, look, not a single Republican voted for it. This is Obamacare. This is the passage of Obamacare, which was an absolute disaster in our healthcare industry and for Americans. And now it's at the point where we're spending hundreds of dollars, or some people are spending hundreds of dollars on their healthcare, and they still have to pay like $5,000 deductibles, $8,000 deductibles to get an adequate or even get just a decent amount of healthcare. So, yep. What is it? 218 Democrats, it looks like. 34 voted no. And 174 Republicans voted against it, and they got 0 in support of it. So there you have it. Not a single Republican voted for Obamacare. Oh, but the Democrats, they're all blaming Republicans for the failure of Obamacare today for some reason. The healthcare system's a nightmare, and it's all Trump's fault. It's all Trump's fault. So yeah, there's your reminder that it ain't Trump's fault. Obamacare ain't Trump's fault. It's Obama's fault. Breaking 911, NBC, do you know what the specific illegal acts are that your Democratic colleagues were referring to? Did we already see this same one? Well, if we did, this one's a longer version of it.
I wonder, do you know what the specific
No, I don't think we saw this one.
acts are that your Democratic colleagues were referring to there?
Well, it's very clear in this code
for
the military that you cannot follow unlawful orders. And, you know, that would be, I'll just use an example. Some of the judges have now found in certain cities that it is not legal to send in the National Guard. And those National Guard members have come home. Some of them are still there. But if their commander were to tell them, hey, go out on the streets and do this and that, that's not following the order that is in law. So I just use that example. I'm sure my colleagues would have other.
So in other words, absolutely no. I don't have a single fucking one. I have absolutely nothing that I can give you that Trump is giving to the military that would be considered an unlawful order. So Dan Scavino, sorry, I haven't been too active on social media lately. Enjoy from the Oval Office this past Thursday. All right. Getting dizzy. All right, the Oval Office. In case you didn't know what it looked like today, that's what it looks like today. Democratic wins media. Breaking: Senator Slotkin just exposed how Donald Trump is trying to distract us from his biggest weaknesses, the Epstein files and the economy. Pay attention to this.
Things that he's been doing by repeating it and talking about it is trying to distract us from the big stories of last week, which were the Epstein files.
Because Democrats are totally incapable of doing that.
I took note yesterday.
No, Democrats can't distract us from anything.
He's tweeting that there's no inflation, the economy's the best it's ever been. It was kind of amazing considering that the American public isn't stupid. It actually reminded me of Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden tried to tell us for a year that the economy was great. Now this president, who ran on lowering costs for Americans.
But you changed the subject with that video as well.
Sure.
And here.
And of course they cut it off right then. Yeah, because, you know, like Democrats, they didn't say it was a Republican shutdown 10,000 freaking times. So let's see. There are no riots for Bethany, no riots for Irania, no riots for Lakin. Let's see, from Tim Pool. Bethany McGee was doused in gasoline and set on fire in Chicago by a career criminal repeat offender with 72 prior arrests. And yeah, that happened. And of course, there's no outrage for that. No riots for Bethany. None at all. And Elon Musk is like, why? I wonder why. Because it doesn't fit the Democrat agenda. Ed Krasenstein, AOC says, yeah, I already saw that. Vivek Ramaswamy, fossil fuels are a requirement for human flourishing, plain and simple. All right. I guess I'll play that.
I'm in an above-ground coal mine here in Noble County,
start winding
Ohio.
it down.
We just climbed up this big mountain. The secret to Ohio's energy success is baseload power generation. And the reason electric bills are so high across the state is that, unfortunately, there has been a war on coal. That was a mistake, and we have to end that war now, not just by using coal and our natural resources, but also turning to natural gas in addition. The truth is fossil fuels are a requirement for human flourishing. It's just the hard fact. The sooner we own up to that and accept it and embrace it,
until
the more
technology progresses
enough,
enough,
as a state, the more we bring down those electric
renewables
bills and
ain't
energy
gonna
costs
cut it
for Ohioans, and the more we power that manufacturing boom that we bring to our state, because there's no manufacturing dominance without energy dominance. They're two sides of the same coin. These are some of the greatest workers I've met in my tour today. These are the people who power Ohio's economy. My message to Eastern Ohio is, you're not a forgotten region, you're part of our future, and coal and natural gas are an important part of it. Look at this beauty.
A lot of land. That's Ohio. Welcome to Ohio. Buckeye State. Don Winslow, an entire generation of kids is growing up to hate Trump, hate Republicans, and hate the world they are making. And no one is talking about it, but these kids will be voting in a few years. Seismic change is coming. High school kids in Charlotte have been protesting ICE in Charlotte while chanting F ICE and saying, no justice, no peace. Yeah, you could thank the faculty for that. Okay, that's happening in Charlotte. So much for getting your education. Mila Joy, would you vote for Marjorie Taylor Greene over J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio? I mean, this is kind of pointless. Marjorie Taylor Greene's already said like 100% she's not running. Although that may not really exactly mean anything because she might just be saying that just to say it. Maybe she is running, but she didn't want the conversation to be had just yet. So, I don't know. I mean, she did give a pretty long-winded reason or explanation as to her lack of running for president. Alyssa Slotkin, the president, is doing everything he can to change the conversation away from the economy. He said yesterday there is almost no inflation, telling the American people to ignore the high costs they see with their own eyes didn't work for President Biden, and it's not going to work for President Trump.
Are you concerned about any of that? Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said you should be held to account.
Look, I mean, I think there's no secret that the president is trying to weaponize the Justice Department. We've seen him do this many times with many different people already.
Really?
Again, this is a tool of fear.
Well, he was being illegally attacked
to get
by the
us
DOJ.
to shut up because he doesn't want to be talking about this. And in fact, I would argue that one of the things that he's been doing by repeating it and talking about it is trying to distract us from the big stories of last week, which were the Epstein files and then the economy. And I took note yesterday at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, but Trump signed the release of the Epstein files.
There's no inflation. The economy's the best it's ever been.
You know, if Trump's name were in the Epstein files 1,500 times, why would he sign the release of the Epstein files? All he could have done is just simply not signed it, and none of those Epstein files would have been released at all.
It was kind of amazing, considering that the American public isn't stupid. It actually reminded me of Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden tried to tell us for a year that the economy was great.
Yeah. All the Democrats, it wasn't just Joe Biden. Joe Biden wasn't even there cognitively. It was all the Democrats, and they'll still tell you that the economy was wonderful under Joe Biden. Or the ones who will admit that it was bad, they'll say, well, it was Trump's fault. It was because, Trump was before Joe Biden. Joe Biden got a bad economy. And it totally, whatever, I'm not going to get into the conspiracy weeds with COVID, but all right, Congressman Robert Garcia, Pam Bondi might think she can hide the Epstein files from Congress, but she can't hide them from our committee. We will get the files and release them so the American people can finally know the truth. Dude, it's Trump giving you the Epstein files because he signed off on it.
Pam Bondi might say, well, the law you just passed actually has a phrase in it that speaks to if there's an active investigation, the DOJ may be able to withhold evidence. That's in the law, and it's something that's pretty standard. Our subpoena doesn't have that because congressional subpoenas often receive pretty classified or confidential information that goes to congressional committees for review. It's very common. And so that is something that the DOJ cannot ignore. They may be able to say, well, we're not going to provide this information to the full Congress and the public, but they can't say the same to the congressional committee.
All right. Well, I guess. All right. Rep. Jim McGovern. Yeah, it looks like a new version of this post. My wife Lisa spent Friday at El Buen Samaritano with her treasured friend Mary Gonzalez and her team as they assembled and distributed boxes of food for neighbors and families. The need has never been greater, nor has the sense of community. Elon Musk, most people don't know that Tesla has had an advanced AI chip and board engineering team for many years. That team has already designed and deployed several million AI chips in our cars and data centers. These chips are what enabled Tesla to be the leader in real-world AI. The current version in cars is AI 4. We are close to taping out AI 5 and starting work on AI 6. Our goal is to bring a new AI chip design to volume production every 12 months. We expect to build chips at higher volumes ultimately than all other AI chips combined. Read that sentence again, and I'm not kidding. These chips will profoundly change the world in positive ways, saving millions of lives due to safer driving and providing advanced medical care to all people via Optimus. Send an email with 3 bullet points describing evidence of your exceptional ability to AI chips at Tesla.com. We're particularly interested in applying cutting-edge AI to chip design. So these AI chips, is it underneath just the Tesla umbrella? So if they're going to be rolling out AI chips, are they looking to compete with NVIDIA in the future, or 100% of the AI chips developed by Tesla, is it just going to be in Tesla? I'm not sure, but I mean, he's making a good case for why you should invest in Tesla, it sounds like. Bill Crystal, Bessent is such a dishonest and third-rate hack. As it happens, average blue state income is about 25% higher than average red state income. Why doesn't Bessent say the best way to bring your income up, move from a red state to a blue state? Why? So you can get taxed relentlessly? So they can take the lion's share of all of the income that you earn? Let's see, Bessent, the best way to bring your inflation rate down, move from a blue state to a red state. Blue state inflation is 0.5% higher. Well, I think he's making a case for what I just mentioned, that you're not going to get, your ass taxed off.
I can tell you that the Council on Economic Advisors has a study. You know the best way to bring your inflation rate down? Move from a blue state to a red state. Blue state inflation is 0.5% higher, and that is because they don't deregulate. They keep prices up. Energy is higher.
Of course they do.
Just according to the consumer prices, inflation was at 2.3% back in April. In September, 3%. But let me ask you about tariffs, because there's this big announcement on tariffs.
Moving on to the whole tariffs. So, might be more money in blue states because they just simply have a bigger population. But yeah, there's no doubt about the fact that they tax the living shit out of you. Sunrise Movement 30 young people were just arrested after blocking an ICE detention facility near Alligator Alcatraz. Yeah, that tends to happen when you obstruct federal agents. You tend to get arrested. ICE is kidnapping our neighbors on behalf of fascist billionaires. It's time for every single American to stand up for their intimidation tactics. Let's shut it down. Look, dude, you just admitted that they were arrested for blocking an ICE facility. That is obstruction, dude. How is that not obstruction? That's against the law.
Why are you being arrested?
8 years in prison.
I'm being arrested for peacefully protesting the horrible treatment of human beings by ICE agents.
It's called obstruction.
Obstruction.
These people are being treated horribly. They're human beings, and it's not.
It is obstruction. Yeah, sitting in the middle of the road, you will get arrested.
I'm arrested because I'm fighting for immigrants and families that deserve to be safe. No one deserves to not.
And they're doing this shit in Florida? Are they out of their fucking minds?
On the day of just living their lives. This is not the America we deserve. We deserve freedom, safety, and communities that are protected.
Oh my God. These people are morons. Because in Florida, look, I don't know what the politics of the judge that they're going to get in front of, but I mean, I would not be surprised if they throw the book at him. They're like, all right, 8 years. Give him 8 years in prison. We got to stop this obstruction nonsense, because if they hear that all of these protesters, one by one, are getting 8 years in prison for simple obstruction, then they'll probably not do that in Florida anymore. John Harwood's Scott Bessent cannot stop saying really stupid things. Yeah, whatever. Is that the same thing? Bring your inflation rate down? Yeah, we already saw that. Terrifying. It's gotten so bad in Minnesota that police are saying they are Somalians first. He isn't even speaking English. We came to this country as refugees. Now that we are hired, we work for our own people. Yeah, that's kind of dangerous, I guess.
markaan haddaan askarnahay Soomaaliyeed ininka ayni shaqeynaa habeenii maalmo ininka ayni taaganahay ma fahanteen horta sida ogtihiin ba wadankan anaga qaxootiyan imaanay askar Soomaaliya ma jirin marka hadda anaga markii nala haygareeyay waxay noqotay inaan dadkeena u shaqeyno dadkii dhaqankii ma fahmeynaa luqadii ma fahmeynaa culture-kii ma fahmeynaa marka qofka kale ma taqaana ajnabiga abadaanka iyo anaga waa kala duwanahay because qofkii gaabkii waxa we build that bridge kaas ma fahantay marka insha Allah waa mahadsantiin again ogaada askari kasta oo Soomaaliya dalka iyo dawladaba inuu inii shaqeeyaa habeenkii marka hurudaan iyo marka ma taqaana achievetaanba ininka inii taaganahay oo
all right, well, you heard it from him in Somali. Insurrection Barbie, this might just be my favorite clip that is being circulated right now.
This
from John
is
Kennedy.
What you could end up looking like if you eat some of the raw, frozen shrimp being sent to the United States by other countries.
Uh-oh. You can wind up looking like a hair on fire, brain dead, liberal modern woman who is way too old to be rocking the blue hair. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, while Republicans choose chaos, we choose community, using every tool available to feed our neighbors and meet their most basic needs. Thank you, Charities Boston, United Way, Massachusetts, Mass Bay, and Shirley's Pantry for your partnership in doing just that. Of course, they got to throw our jab at the Republicans.
And food is not just nutrition. It's also dignity. It's also health. This administration, the Trump administration, and my Republican colleagues in the House have been working actively to deny hungry people food, creating really cruel work requirements for people to be able to access.
It was the Republican shutdown.
We're just talking about $6
It wasn't Democrats that voted 15 times to cut off SNAP benefits.
I mean, that's nothing. But I'm also of the belief that hunger is a policy choice. It is a humanitarian crisis and a moral failing.
Look, I only saw one meal. Where are all these meals that they're handing out?
Impacts of a lot of the
I don't see any meals. I only saw one.
And certainly the government shutdown and their withholding of SNAP benefits during the
there's
longest
some boxes.
government
I'm
shutdown
not sure
in
if there's
history.
food in them, though.
So I'm using every tool available to me.
Look, man, I got to second guess everything Democrats are doing these days because, I don't know, man. Like, there was a video on TikTok going around of somebody who set up this food drive for Thanksgiving, and they were giving away turkeys to all the poor. So they were filming it, and after they were done filming it, they took back the majority of the turkeys that they handed out. I don't know. There was like some big, hoopla about that. Commander Op at Large, California, Gregory Bovino. Is it Bovino? Yeah, I got it right this time. I wish he would make that a little shorter. U.S. Border Patrol, ICE, and allied law enforcement agencies are going after in earnest illegal alien truck drivers. Massachusetts and Pennsylvania, America should not be maimed and killed by truck drivers who shouldn't be here in the first place. Breaking Border Commander Greg Babino says massive fraud must be investigated for how illegal aliens and foreigners are getting CDL licenses to drive semi-trucks. He said more have been caught in California. Quote, we're doing everything we can to take these illegal aliens off the streets before they kill more American citizens. The training for a CDL is very difficult for American citizens who speak English. How exactly in many of these states, California especially, are these truck drivers passing a difficult exam when they can't even speak English? Let's take a look at how they are being issued. I've not received a good answer from any of these states. That bears investigation. Yeah, it absolutely does. That's from Eric Daugherty. So we got a video.
I've got a lot of friends that have commercial driver's licenses. That is a very difficult exam. The training there for a commercial driver's license is very difficult for American citizens who speak English. How exactly, in many of these states, California especially, are these truck drivers passing an exam, a very difficult exam, when they can't even speak English? So
or read English, or understand English.
Let's take a look at how they're actually being issued those driver's licenses. I've not received a good answer from that on any of those states yet. I think that bears a little more investigation. As far as the truck drivers, Border Patrol, ICE, and again, those allied law enforcement agencies, we're doing everything we can to take these illegal alien truck drivers off the streets before they kill more American citizens. We just got a couple of more there at one of the Border Patrol checkpoints in Southern California, and I know our ICE operatives there are also doing the same thing. So we're going really hard to identify these truck drivers and take them off the street. I think we're making a lot of headway in doing that.
Commander,
yeah, I think it was in the state of Texas last week. They set up a checkpoint for truck drivers, and 33% or 30%, roughly a third of all the drivers that they had stopped were illegal immigrants. It was like this crazy number. I believe it was in the hundreds that they ended up apprehending. Chicago is collapsing under corruption and failed Democrat leadership, from Rep. Mary Miller. Chicago Mayor Governor Pritzker and the entire Democrat machine have turned a great American city into a crime-ridden, mismanaged disaster.
People waiting for the bus, people coming up and down from the L Street station, and then this, as Ravi said and you said, Cheryl, almost immediately these officers, guns drawn, were on the move, and this was shortly beforehand. This is when we saw scuffles breaking out. You said you saw people throwing shoes.
It was a violent fight.
Yeah.
On the ground, several people and several different groups of people were fighting violently. It was very concerning, and then they kind of broke apart, and I saw lots of gym shoes being thrown, and they kind of broke apart and started moving. Some started going, of course, south. Some started heading north toward the river.
They were running up to the L tracks on the elevated state, the state and lake there. We saw.
Yeah, well, there's Chicago for you. Apologies for the sound. I didn't realize it got that loud. It's crazy. And my sister, she lives in Chicago, so definitely worried about her because she lives like down near downtown, I think. VA Secretary Doug Collins just housed the largest number of homeless veterans in 7 years, but that's just part of the solution to keeping veterans off the streets. It's the wraparound services VA provides that help keep formerly homeless veterans stable, healthy, and on the path to self-sufficiency.
What is the homelessness problem regarding veterans? How are you going to ensure that that money is used to help solve that problem? And what else can we do to help when it comes to homelessness for veterans?
Yeah, this is an interesting discussion overall for our country as a whole, but I mean, especially the subset of group of veterans. Over the years, veteran homelessness has went down while the rate of homelessness for the community has actually went up. But we still have around 30 to 40,000 across the country of homeless veterans. There's multiple reasons why they're there. Some of it, of course, is mental health issues. Some of it is job issues. Some of it is, unfortunately, dependency issues. So what we're using is getting them into transition housing. We've got great partners with our folks in the VA and our VA services through what's called a HUD-VASH program, in which they can get money to get into a roof and a shelter. We also have worked with, frankly, with Tunnels for Towers and others who have built out places for veterans to go. The big thing is getting them into it, because if they get into our programs, then they have what we call wraparound services. So in case they're there and they do need help with mental health or medicine, or they need help in addiction issues, we can get them the help that they need as they're being taken care of and getting them off the streets.
Well, good. That's good. It's good that they're working on that. And Mischief, wow. You recognize who it is? Exactly what point? Yeah, I don't even know. Not really politically related. I mean, it might be, but whatever. Rebecca Jones, or if you don't know the difference between communism, capitalism, and socialism, you should not be allowed to serve in Congress. If you do know and you lie about it, you shouldn't be allowed a platform. From Young Kim, my family lived in the horrors of communism firsthand in Korea. I refuse to let Zohran Mamdani and the far left peddle communism light here. Let's hear what she says.
Thank you, Chairman. It's such an honor to stand here to strongly support the House Concurrent Resolution 9. As a Korean American who grew up in the aftermath of the Korean War, I have witnessed the horrors of socialism firsthand. I always say, if you want to see the difference between socialism and freedom, just look at the Korean Peninsula at night. South Korea shines with opportunity.
Very brightly lit.
North Korea is trapped in darkness. Time and time again throughout history, socialism has led to disaster, starvation, imprisonment, and the death of over 100 million people worldwide. My own family lived those horrors. My mother-in-law risked her life crossing the DMZ lines multiple times to rescue loved ones from the North Korean regime. To this day, tens of thousands of Korean families remain separated by a system that tears apart communities and crushes basic human dignity. Now more than ever, as socialist ideas gain traction here at home, and as our nation's largest city and financial capital has elected not just a socialist, but a communist as mayor, we must firmly demand our capitalist free market system, which empowers Americans of all backgrounds to achieve freedom, opportunity, and prosperity. I know what America represents because I remember my first glimpse of freedom as a young girl, looking up wide-eyed as U.S. soldiers tossed candy from their trucks in the communities that I lived. Today, as one of the first Korean-American women to serve in Congress, that freedom tastes just as sweet. Stories like these can only happen in America. As a member of Congress, I will always fight for the American dream and for our free market system that keeps it within reach for everyday Americans. Thank you, and I yield my time.
Amen. Amen. Very well said. I think that'd be a good place to end the video. So yeah, that'll do it for me tonight. I'll be back with The Swamp tomorrow. It'll be uploading around 11 o'clock p.m. So if you enjoyed this video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It'll mean a lot to me if you subscribe. And I will be dropping an episode Monday through Friday this coming week, covering the swamp and everyone living in it, the politicians and the bureaucracy, all the agencies and everything else happening. I also post daily episodes on X, so feel free to comment there too if you like. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your night. Hope you had a fantastic weekend, and God bless America.